Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back. Today, I'm going to have for you a weekly review of last week. All the journalistics is back to normal, so we can have a look at how I got on last week. Also, going to go through sort of a EURO STOXX trade I took yesterday on the positive Remdesivir data results that came out yesterday. I sort of didn't know when they were going to come out during the week on the sort of possible vaccine or whatever they would like to call it at the moment, but I just want to go through that, show some live execution of how I got traded in that. Got my biggest size away on EURO STOXX that I could have done. Obviously a bit of execution performance from last week, and put these two together, the self-talk analysis as well as sort of any patterns you find in yourself. The journalistics of last week was a good one for me. Just want to talk about how and what happened, etc., what made things good, and just some improvement areas for the following week ahead. So to get straight into sort of this stocks trade, this is what came out. Could have actually gotten this a lot earlier, but just want to talk about this week. We heard about these results going to kind of come out at some point, but we didn't necessarily know when, or I couldn't ever really see when these were going to come out. There was no sort of set date. Before this, the price got halted 3 minutes I think before 1:30, so you could have been long already before this. I actually generally thought that was bad, so I didn't really get involved at all. I thought that was quite bad news that the prices got halted, because I remember you see it in oil a few weeks ago when the USO got halted. Actually, I couldn't really remember. I think that actually did go up, but I thought it was bad news. So that's where I probably could have gone wrong. But then you had GDP as well, US GDP. So I don't know necessarily you're going to hold that into it. And this is what I'll explain. I think this is why the S&P came off so much. Whether you got the blip on GDP and then it squeezed, where EURO STOXX stayed quite high, and the Nasdaq as well came off. So that's where you can lean on sort of maybe some other structures where you can lean on the EURO STOXX to buy S&P and Nasdaq, and even oil was a really laggy move as well. But yeah, going on, this is what came out before. Shares have been halted in pre-market trading, and this is what I heard. I only heard the squawk. To be honest, I'm actually probably 9 seconds late behind this, 5 past. All I heard was statement on positive data emerging from. That's all I heard from the squawk. So that's what I naturally went off. I was a bit late, but I sort of managed to trade, I think, well. I felt like I didn't really get paid for what I had on, in my opinion, because I think the way I was trading it, I was getting out when I was trying to hold on to some size. But this is what started coming out afterwards. I was mainly focused on, plus to me, you also had the technical side to EURO STOXX, which I felt was much stronger than maybe the S&P, the way that came off after that. So leaning on the structure and having, to me, trading that amount of size and having the sort of conviction that I had, maybe I should have been holding, not trying to scale out so quickly on the trade. Going through sort of why, I'll come back to sort of this area in a second. Just want to go through sort of the structure and my ideas. So this is something else I've been doing in the beginning of the day, is that I'll sort of draw out my plan of what I think is going to happen instead of maybe writing it down, because I've noticed a few times that I've noticed things in the mornings and when I'm sitting down, and it's easier to see if your eyes, and then you're starting to write things down. So if I put it all on a picture, much easier to understand. But we had this level at 29.22, which was the previous high of this pullback we currently have had. And down here was that area where everyone's getting sucked in, maybe for a possible second leg, as we're getting rejection. And what I felt also was quite key, thinking of the continuation of this up move while we've had this sort of structure, is every time we've tested this level, we've gone down, tested it again, come back off. And what I was wanting to be key, especially on 2 days ago, is the fact that we closed here on these levels, is that we must sort of hold this little value area, and we must hold again to look for another move higher. Another thing is that I didn't like the way we closed outside of this little value, so and then we gapped up. As long as we were holding this sort of value zone, in this little box, I felt like we could be long, look to break yesterday's high, and also 22s. And then you had a VPOC at 46s, I believe, from a previous day, the 10th of March, I think this was. So that was the sort of structure I was looking for. As long as we're in here, even without, say, the news with it, I still think you could be to the upside also. So this is the 60-minute. I mean, not, you know, a lot of lines going on here, but again, is what we had is I did have a trend line, which and a lot of sort of wedge that we did build sort of up here from the beginning of this pullback, possible pullback. So we did break that, was sort of around this area, and then we sort of created this sort of, you know, sort of falling wedge, and now we've broken to the upside. Big, you know, the support you had down here. So the continuation, and then you've got the break of this high up to this sort of we nearly got there, but you had a couple of highs, closed this gap here, back into sort of this area as well. So looking for the break of these 22s, looking for the upside. You know, people are going to be short all the way in this sort of range, so you're looking for that energy and that break higher, which we eventually did get. So that's sort of what I was looking for. Going back to sort of, these are the just 1 minute sort of time frame. So I'll try and show you, but so down here, so this is the S&P, stocks in the middle, Nasdaq on the far right, was the volume pickup just before, once the price got halted. People were obviously getting long, preempting this, and you got the spike. And then what I was looking for when I was, as you can see my execution in here, is that I did get in a bit late and trying to add in, and then I was trying to manage the trade, which I think I managed it quite well. For me, it was this last one here. I had 4 on at this point, as you'll see, and I got out of 3. That was the bad point where I'm getting out of the last bit, then adding back in, maybe a bit too late. Maybe I could have been a bit more aggressive, a bit quicker. But, and that was obviously, I'm just pointing to the arrows of the half past of the GDP, and it's obviously hard going into a number. You know, you're going to run this into it, and then you get the pullback, and then we go again. So that's why stocks, I felt, was a much stronger equity at the current point, the way we were moving, where we are. And I remember seeing this so many times as well on a figure and on data, is that you get that big blip, pull back, and then it grinds. It was sort of a slower grind back through, sort of where there's nothing being traded. You sort of get this little block. So when I was thinking is that as soon as it was S&P, I think it was 8 or 9, 2680, I think it is, trading. But as soon as you back out sort of this little block flag, what you've got here, then you're going to continue the up move. And then as soon as then this is when you're sort of looking for the momentum, which I think is what we've got here, about here. I'm sort of scaling. I scaled out quite a lot. I think I covered pretty much half of the position in this point where the move looked really good. And then you get the same with the Nasdaq. Nasdaq does the same sort of structure. So that was what I was really leaning on, is that while I'm still here, my stop was here below 08. So I was willing to sit here and say, well, I'm going to take a big hit here, as I was losing quite a bit as I'm going offside and puking it quite quickly. But I should have been adding in a bit more, as my average price was sort of getting in the middle and getting a bit chopped. Trying to hold, I felt really confident on this. I felt this is going to be, this is the right thing to be doing. You want to have the size on for the break of those 22s, 23s. So again, just leaning on the pullback, and if this starts to move higher through here, then you can then start to buy some more stocks after that. As that's happening. So as you can, these are just the time frames, 1 minute of each. So you can see what happens overall. Sort of just get a sideways, triangle structure, and you get the break of that. Just small little continuation sort of moves on that front. But that's sort of how I'll show you now in sort of the execution point of view that I think I traded it, better than I have. Maybe I didn't get paid necessarily enough, but I want to talk to you about sort of what I was thinking through this point in time. And I'll fast forward sort of in the middle of that sort of once, so we can get a gist of it. So it does take a good half an hour. So I wasn't going to trade the GDP number. We were obviously thinking about this halted, and then they came out with, so in the next sort of 25 seconds, it starts to come out, and I wasn't necessarily aggressive with it quickly. because I think I did buy it quite high, but I thought I was quite quick, but realising that I only heard it on the squawk, I didn't see it on the Reuters, is that, and then I thought, right, if this is going to sustain and we're going to see S&P go up, etc., then this should be a good move for this high. So now half past comes, so now it's out. Now 5 seconds past, I'm looking at the S&P, what that's doing, and then obviously now I hear it at some point. I end up buying near the highs. So I'm still thinking now there's a good chance of this can really keep going. If the S&P comes back now, it does pull back quite aggressively in the S&P. But I'm still sitting there thinking, okay, I've bought this. We're really strong on the day, so I'm willing to stay in this and try and manage this a bit more. Let it pull back a bit. Got not much size on, and then I'm willing to then, as the S&P tries to go back up, I will then try and buy more, and we'll try and play that sort of risk on type of move. So I got in with 4, and then seeing like big size on the what you see quite a bit, you get big size on the offer. So I'm willing, as long as there's buyers willing to take this out, you're going to be willing to buy more. There's buyers there, and plus you create this little area of low volume. So as long as you're sort of sitting here above like 12s, I really felt like this was the good move, the right move to be in. Once you start going below here, I'm going, this isn't so good. S&P starts to push back up higher again. This bit of size here, so once this sort of goes, you're trading into it. Once that sort of goes, I'm willing to then hit a big clip of, I think it was 6 lots here, like now. Quick trade up. Now I'm looking for this to just like, now I'm thinking now S&P's trading up at 15s, looking at this now to accelerate. 800 lots. You want to see this seller go, and then you see the move high. You've got people selling in front of that daily high at 22 as it was. So once this sort of 1,000 lots disappear, I'm really looking for this to accelerate. Willing to try and hold. I was up small on the day, so I had a little bit of risk to play with it. Allow that that 10 lot to go offside a couple of ticks. So I think that once this 1,000 lot goes, I really think this is game on. We should really accelerate. This is what I was thinking at this point. I felt like this is really positive. You think of all the other moves that have also happened as well are, the S&P has gone like 40, 50, 60 handles plus on this, and you're thinking, well, this is going to do it again. You've got more positive outcome from this, the possible vaccine, etc., getting positive results. So in the end, this does pull back, and then I'm thinking, okay, this maybe isn't great. So I've got out of, covered 6 offside, so 2.5 tick loser, and then so there I've taken quite a big hit, and then I'm thinking, to be honest, I did see my P&L going down. I think, okay, I've given quite a lot away already by just puking, so 3-4 tick loser basically on 8 lots. So then I'm going to try and manage it. I still think this is quite big, and I noticed that the S&P's come off, and the fact, well, this is going to hold. Stocks is going to hold higher as well, and as this sort of starts to build that structure, I'm sitting there leaning on that. I'm still having really high conviction on this, even though it's chopping away, and then eventually you do get that release in the end. But this is all I was thinking about, is how can I get the size back on at the right time? As long as we're trading above these 12s, I really think, again, trying to buy more above this low volume point. The S&P has pulled back quite a way now, 10 handles. So this is the problem I think I did have, is that I was getting out off on the, as it's coming off, I'm getting out of a lot of size, so I'm losing quite a bit at this point. I'm thinking, okay, and S&P I think has one more go eventually lower. I think this was the one. I think stocks traded 8s at this point. And where I've sit here lost a bit. I'm like, can I really start average, possibly averaging this trade? I'm sitting there questioning it quite a bit, going, I'm not entirely sort of sure I should be doing so. And then this is what I was trying to do. I was trying to find my Nasdaq try and get the Nasdaq ladder up so I can see what that's doing at the same time, finding my charts with that. I don't trade the Nasdaq, you know, at all, so it's not always there. So now to get that up, so now I was thinking, okay, so now I've got all of these up. Now once all these sort of come in line, start breaking out their structures, you know, should really be able to lean on, and you can execute quite aggressively on, you know, when they're all breaking highs, all pushing together. That's what I was mainly leaning on at this point. It just feels like all what you had was a lot of selling in the stocks at this point, just, you know, sort of front running the break of that area. So I'll just go say maybe 4 times speed at this point, just to get through, you know, sort of the next sort of 5 minutes or so. Just, I know it's a bit fast, but you can see what I'm trying to do, and then what I'm thinking again. I know I'm repeating myself a bit. That seeing that structure start to build, and that's on where you can sort of then try and execute again. As you can sort of see, I get a bit, you know, I do get chopped up a bit, you know, trying to build sort of my, you know, average price is a bit high, and I was a bit late. Got him with good size to begin with. I thought that was the right thing to do. Maybe I should have scratched most of it instead of taking a bit of a loss. But I'm always thinking at this time, I was always thinking that probably the most highest confidence I really felt and had, you know, I felt like you needed to have the push yourself and get the size on. I traded a little bit more size in the mornings as well. That's what's been lacking recently. I haven't been putting much size on. Like I explained, I've been trading a lot of 1s and 2s in oil. I haven't been trading EURO STOXX and Bund very well. So the change of confidence as well. You have a breakout of a previous high, plus you've got news flow as well. And just coming into it here is that, quickly talking, now I've got back with 4 lots. What I did was you get one last little squeeze back down in a second. And what I shouldn't have done, I was really questioning at the time, is, you know, you should get out of at least, you know, get out of 2. You know, I really felt like this was going to go spoo, starts going back up to 7s, and it keeps rotating back down. So as soon as you're back above 8s, 9s, this is, you know, this is really on. But then you get another squeeze back down in EURO STOXX, and I'm thinking, okay, you know, okay, I'll get out some more. So what I was doing is just buying 17 and 18s, 19s, getting out, you know, 13s, 14s a lot. So again, just that rotation, I was thinking this is fine. I still had a lot of confidence in this. You know, I had that in my brain that the S&P, you see it on numbers, you see it on gold a lot as well. So then I get out of 3 lots, and then I'm back to 1. So then I'm thinking, okay, now I've got rid of quite a lot. I've got rid of most things. Now I've got to manage this in the correct manner. Can I really start to average below again? Not really, because now I've lost quite a bit on this trade. So again, then you're trying to, I'm umming and ahhing, what should I do? You know, now S&P's back down at 4s, which I think has one last spike lower before then you start to go up higher and you start breaking the 7s and 8s. So I'll go back to normal speed. Let me just watch the break higher and how I manage sort of, you know, getting bigger size. And I think that I could have done much better on adding a bit quicker, you know, but then you're buying into highs and things. It's something again that I haven't been doing a lot recently, like trying to play a big breakout and buying highs, because I know, like I'm doing at the moment, I'm buying bits of tops and I'm getting a bit squeezed at times. So again, you know, it is really slow. Again, you know, you just got to be patient. I was always thinking, as long as we're trading above these 8s, that I really, you know, that's the main thing. We're trading above 8s. EURO STOXX is still strong. The structure, if you look on the 1 minute structure, look at that. Smaller little time frame structures. Okay, how can we play and how can we continue this move? So again, just want to watch it as, you know, S&P approaches sort of 8s, 9s. You want to see some big buying in stocks. You want to see the delta keep going. So again, trying to get into some more, getting another little 1. So I'll get back up to 2. as it's back approaching sort of 7s. And then as we start to go up high, now they're sort of, I feel like they're all slowly getting into line. They're all sort of, you know, one's lagging, you know, EURO STOXX is holding while the S&P is doing its business, and or, you know, Nasdaq's doing its business, and all then once you all come in a line and you all move together, this is when I thought this was the key then to try a bit bigger. Try to buy a bit more at 19s, and then what I end up doing is end up hitting a big clip at 6, because I think it feel 19, get traded 19s. Then I'm thinking, okay, I really want to try and get some size on for the break of this. Maybe in my head, or maybe I'm sort of, you know, panic bought this bit. But again, you got this 700,000 lot that was there. As long as this gets taken, now S&P's trading much higher, going off the screen, and obviously Nasdaq is off my screen as well. Is that I really felt that now this was the time. Now we can get big. You know, maybe this is where I felt like while I'm watching this back, is that maybe buying some more sort of 22s, 23s, like there. But obviously I don't think I was clearly watching at that current point where I was looking at other things, where the charts were. Where now this is the time now, you know, S&P's up higher, in a good position to maybe execute some more size. You know, you want to see some volume being traded. I felt the volume was okay, it was pretty good on this. You know, you see in big clips 500, 600 lots being traded at each price. So again, what you did then create, if you look at it on the 1 minute, is you create a little, you know, 1 minute structure again, just into smaller little blocks. Once you break the top of that, we go. And I really felt if you got the right volume through these 23s, 22s, we should really accelerate. And I felt like you were going to get a much quicker move, but you just had to be a bit patient with it. So once you started getting that, I was like, this looks good. So then, you know, slowly in my mind, still like, well, yeah. That was the bit I was waiting for. So you get that big blip up, and I was like, okay, now we can buy that. Now we must hold this type of blip. I always like to see that when it blips, things like that, you know, it's blipped 3-4 ticks. Now we should hold. You know, you've got a little low volume point, literally at my average price. And it's okay. I feel okay with this at the time. I felt like now, once we trade the highs again, now we should really go. Maybe, you know, I could have now got up to more size. I think if I got one more clip of 6, then I've had, you know, get full size on this. Maybe I feel like I'm buying a bit high now. Also, that's also what I'm thinking. You know, the move's technically gone 20 ticks now, nearly. Sort of started around sort of 05s. So as long as we're a little holding here, we've done a little like 3 minute, 4 minute range of this. So I'm sitting there trying to manage this. So I'll quickly try and fast forward through here. Again, you just keeping an eye on sort of where the S&P is as well. That's what I was really leaning on, was that breaking. This was also another thing, is that you had oil was really laggy as well. Could have got, you know, good position in oil as well, but I was so concentrated on this EURO STOXX, I didn't want to, and then I was taking quite a bit of a hit at one point, is that I wanted to just be fully concentrated on that and not get into too much mess and get chopped up in another market and start losing my concentration, etc. So just letting this, all I was doing was letting this rotate. I was a bit anxious at this point, and then you can see me looking to try and scale out of the position as we go higher. What I wanted to do is try and hold sort of good bit of size on the break, and then trying to scale out. Thought you might get a faster move at the point, but we'll go back to sort of the 1x speed for the rest of this. So obviously the S&P and the Nasdaq sort of doing the same sort of rotation. I thought, right, okay, now we're holding these 23s. I'll put a scratch of, you know, pretty much most of it, and if it starts to trade lower, then I would really think the move is pretty much done. It's not going to keep going. But overall, I feel like I had good patience with this. You know, I got 14 lots on. You know, it's something I wasn't really had too much of a panic over. I felt quite confident in this. You know, the volume's good. You know, delta's increasing on this. No reason yet to be getting out of the trade. You're just doing a little bit of sideways where you can, you know, just manage that. Maybe I was a bit too tunnel vision on the ladder, not focusing on sort of other things at times. Maybe looking at delta and trying to lean on things as well. And accept, you know, I accepted that I was going to take a big hit at this point. So again, you're just now waiting for everything else to align. You're looking for that volume to trade up higher. Like now, I think this is a good time to now, trade some more. 340 lots into the high. Maybe you could have clipped some more, and then you can just scale out quite aggressively. That VPOC at 46, so that's what I was looking for. That's then a 40 tick full move. And now I'm trying to hold this for a good bit, and then this is where I think I did something slightly wrong, in my opinion, after watching this back, where I got out quite quickly. Having that fear of this now you really are correct. Now this is that's going to squeeze you. You need 8 ticks on side with good size. Now this is probably where my panic of exiting came in. As you can see, now you got S&P going, you got oil through its highs. Nasdaq's now going back up higher, and now you sort of done that little tiny range again. This should now really accelerate. S&P's 20 ticks from its high, 4 handles. As soon as it starts to approach that, I should have now been like, okay, now you're correct. Look at everything else. You're breaking high with a bit of volume. But now I've covered over half. I've got rid of 8 lots within sort of 8 ticks, which is okay, I suppose. Again, it's just working on that a bit of exiting of trades, and how I want to be exiting trades a lot more often in this manner. I wanted to try and hold something good to then get out of a lot. But it's the thing that I think I held like 4 lots quite well in the end. I think I held it for like sort of another 10 ticks or so, trying to get out. Now everything's sort of approaching its highs. Now I've let it go. Now you want to be holding this trade as much as you can. This is where I still think you could be slowly maybe getting out of not as much. If I still had over half on, I think that would have been good. But it's a good improvement for me to manage the trade really well. Overall, I felt it was probably one of the better comments I've traded. The patience and the sort of the understanding of the high conviction I had with the whole concept of what was going on. So then I was thinking, as soon as S&P's approaching the highs, this should really have another go. We're stuck here. We're not really rotating back far. Now you've covered it a lot. Now you want to target those 46s. But again, what I always have in my mind, I get a bit of that sort of panic mode when it's sort of rotating slowly. You want to be leaning, say, on the Renko chart at this point, and I'll be able to sort of drag that in for you. And then again, we started to break high. You got 2,000 lot. And now I'm thinking, okay, S&P's through highs. This is going to keep going. This is the best part. You want to be in for this sort of which was the sort of final flush of the trade at this point. Before you got that pullback. And again, that 1,000 lot. Now you're just looking for that nice quick little push to 46s. Try and hold on to the rest. And this is when I got a bit hesitant, because they sold the whole lot, and you got a bit of resistance at this point. So I sort of again, you get that bit of panic panic selling. You want to be I was sitting there trying to take the maximum out of something, and try and pick the high to get out at, which doesn't always happen and plan to do. So then also again, I was thinking I've got 2 left. As long as we trade back through these 39s again, that seller's gone. 1,000 lot comes on the bid. We trade some more S&Ps at highs. Nasdaq's through its highs. Oil again. You're just looking for that final last bit of the move. Yeah, I think the high was just above. I think it was 47s it traded. At this point I'm thinking, you've got out of everything, just leave the 2, see if we can get to the VPOC. It's a prominent sort of VPOC from, the 10th of March. That's quite a way away, a good month old. So you're going to expect maybe a reaction or so at that point in time. So that's what I got in the end. Again, like I'm saying, it's just a lot of things that I had, in line. Everything added up. You had, I'm saying, the news, the breakout, everything couldn't have got any better. It's just maybe my management, I think, could have got much better at the time. Mainly that's what I felt I could have improved on at that time. But I'll show you the Renko chart and we'll drag that in for you, and we can just have a quick picture of sort of what time this came out. So this came out, where are we? So this was past, just here. So you sort of had that bit of support which we had all day. I was trying to get long. I did get long, I think, around sort of this area in the morning, and I went on side, and then I was trying to hold. I literally had my stop, it was 89s on the day, below the initial balance, low, looking to get long, and then I never got long. Obviously I was thinking also you got fed as well tonight, so that was another thing I was considering during the day. Again, then you see the delta start to pick up, and this is something that I wasn't concentrating on during this point of the trade. I wasn't looking at this, where then if I was looking at this, maybe I would have structured it much better instead of being so focused on the ladder trying to be too aggressive. But again, you got that nice bit of spike in delta. This is just a 2-tick Renko on here, so you're getting some good moves. So from 09s you get a 38-tick move up to those 47. So that was the move I was in, with the most of the size getting in sort of everything around here. So in hindsight, me looking at this, I shouldn't have been getting out of anything, in my opinion, at all. That's something else you can lean on. Another sort of tool that I should have been doing potentially at that point is just leaning on this, looking for your target. You're not getting out. I'll scale out as you're getting a bit higher, but holding as much as you can at this point once you're through here, this little range, and up we go. So very positive, I feel, overall from that trade. I will now get on to sort of the rest of what happens of the week. So last week, execution performance wise, last week was probably some really good execution for myself. I was had some really good entry points. I was going with direction. I understood what I was doing, except the Monday wasn't great, but I had clear understanding. The only problem is I was trading a lot smaller size, and I was, had a really good week still, trading 1s and 2 lots each time, sort of taking 10-15 ticks, and I felt like quite consistent in doing it at the time. I would get a good day, and I was like, okay, that's let's try and be a bit consistent and sort of bank a good run. It was just a lack of conviction. Oil for me was trading a lot thinner. I had much more focus, again, like I'll explain, is much more focus on the oil rather than stocks and Bund at this point. I felt like they were so, as I say, they were so rangy. Didn't really have much of a giant conviction in trades. It was very slow and say calm, should we say. I was just understanding a lot of the direction in oil on the buying side, sort of the I think it was the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think we had, or was it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? But I was very positive throughout as well. I noticed in my self-talk, I was thinking about there's always going to be a trade coming. I was more confident with things. I had clear ideas, and just how I wanted to be involved. I think trying to play a breakout a lot. I wasn't trading for breakouts. I was just buying dips. Taking 10-15 tick move back higher. Just a smaller time frame, sort of 5-minute structures. Again, you're back into sort of new area you haven't been in. So you have to what I feel like you have to lean on is the sort of smaller time frame type of structures. So that's exactly what I was doing. Something completely opposite, shall I say, to the current week we're in, where I haven't been, buying the dips, etc. Looking for the breakouts, where that's where I've lost mainly. But the performance review, I was really surprised at the end of the week when I looked at this area particularly, and sort of the Thursday where I traded. It's probably one of the most traded days I've ever done. 35 trades in one day. That's well more than all the rest. But how consistent I was throughout the day. Maybe I lost a little bit in the morning. I traded. If you look at it, I'm trading quite. Not much. 3 or 4 trades an hour over the week. A few more between 2 and 3, and a bit more at the end of the day and in the morning. So you can see where I'm losing a bit. So that 9 is 8. So I traded a bit there. So 14 here is 1. I'm trading a lot, making some good money there. Not trading a lot in between, in sort of the 2 hour on the open. Not much going on, so quite consistent. I felt not losing too much, making a lot of quick trades. Inside that 5 minute, just over that 5 minute area, losing a bit there. So a bit more, not much holding going on. And after a good recovery from the Monday, a nice 4 green days in a row is what you like. Is what you want to be seeing. And again, as you can see by the P&L, standard, is that oil, I was mostly trading in oil. I lost a little bit in EURO STOXX and made tiny in Bund. So overall, pretty flat on those two. But that's what I was saying, is that I had my focus on where I really wanted to be executing on trades. I looked at Bund and stocks. I saw trade ideas, but I didn't have that conviction in getting involved in how slow the market was. Something that maybe you need to improve on when it's in that sort of climate, and you just adapt to that. That's what I struggled with. Oil was much more volatile, and you're going from quickly volatile markets. Then you got to switch on to those slower type of markets when you trading that real tight range that we had last week. Also, another thing I was quite impressed with, quite a lot of scratches. Ignore that bit. Losses are 41, and winners are 29. So the comparison between them is only 12. That's much more of an improvement. Again, if you're going to do this, like if I was going to do this more like taking 10, 20 ticks more often, your win rate's got to be much higher, because you're taking loser winner. You want to be, if you're trading a lot, you want to be making more and more. If you're trading less, you can have probably a bit more winners over losses. But as you see, it's very rare for me to have more winners than losses. I've seen a lot of the losses are then these forceful ones, or trying to trade a breakout. You're chasing chasing a reversal type of trade. That's what I ended up losing on, or being into earlier. It's another thing I noticed looking at my execution, or what at the end of the day when I'm going through the debrief and explaining each trade that I'm taking, is that why I noticed that I get involved in poor areas, and also buying the tops of things, selling the bottoms of things, when that's where I go wrong a lot. If I switch that over maybe and look why I'm losing, etc., then why I'm losing that amount all the time is trying to play for breakouts. You'll notice the reversal much more often, especially when you're in a continuous daily trend, or there is a trend over the sort of a bigger time frame, etc. So that's what I was learning from last week. What I tried to do is implement it this week. And again, I saw my mental brain switched the wrong way in the couple of days this week. Haven't been too good but a lot of positive things to be taken from last week. Definitely a big change. I felt like I traded probably one of the better week. Well, not my best week, but trading wise overall was a really good week. Good recovery from the down day on the Monday. Some last pointers also. Some improvement areas again. Improve on the having high confidence and conviction on trades. It's just to understand, like that EURO STOXX one, I had so much conviction on it. Everything in line. So you want to be ticking off your sort of checklist. You want to be ticking off, is S&P going up, or all the equities going up at once? Is it risk on or risk off? What else can you lean on to have that conviction? Is Delta going higher? Is all your tick list all checked? Then you should be able to build on the size. That's why I was pushing myself on that, because I really felt the move was there. You have that news flow. Big on the positivity, keep on that. That's something again for me personally this week. A couple of down days in a row, but what I've been asking myself was, have you traded badly? As in, you're chasing things, they're bad trades, or were these your planned trades? What was wrong? What was right? Was your execution poor? For me this week, yes, that's where it's probably come from. You trying to trade breakouts too much? Yes, that's what I was doing. You going with the direction of the day? No, you sometimes going against it. And again, for me, I think it's positivity of talking myself into trades. Something I don't do enough. I've had some good ideas this week, and I have lost money on things because I missed a couple of early morning oil trades and EURO STOXX. So it's that positivity of just switching. Okay, you missed a trade, now let's go on to the next one. If it's an A+ trade and you missed it, why have you missed that type of trade? I me, I have to do my prep in the morning, and I don't feel like I get distracted if I start trading, etc., etc. Again, trading those more traded plans, build on conviction, your hold time, your better patience with those bigger time frame plays. Being more aware, I seem to slack at times during the day, and also another thing is to protect my days when, I protect my days too much when I'm doing well, having say an average day, when I know then there's a risk to be taken on, your W days, triple days, and I hold myself back from going and taking it. I did this yesterday. There's another chance to hit EURO STOXX. I know I hit really small, and really when you should be hitting a bit bigger, and you could have taken quite a nice 10-15 chunk out of the EURO STOXX with good size. Just again pushing yourself, finding some new barriers. Like again yesterday for me, I found a new barrier. Now you go through that. When you have a more than average day, you can then take advantage again and push through. Then it becomes a nuance, and it happens again and again and again, and you just keep building on that. And last thing, that was definitely a benchmark week for me last week. The overall picture and how I dealt with it, in a lot in a positive way, trading well, complete understanding at times with what I wanted to be doing. It's just building on that conviction, and that always not having so much of a hold back at times. But again, like I'm saying, it's just a positive week for me. I would like to, showing that EURO STOXX trade is some, getting up some bigger size is what we want to be seeing, having that high conviction, and adding all your checklists together at one time. But that's it from me, guys. Normal information if you want to get in touch, info@axiafutures.com. Hope you're all well, and I'll be back next week with another stream. Cheers, guys.